Back to the Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo, back for a Week 6 NFL picks and also a Thursday night recap per usual. We are going to recap it all tonight. Let me just check my equipment real quick. My daughter likes to come in and mess with my stuff every once in a while. So, Week 6 picks. We had a Thursday night game tonight between the 49ers and Seahawks we will get into as well. And we will start with that, and then we'll get right to the picks. A lot of picks this week. Once again, last week, another bad week, unfortunately. 5-8 now 15, 22-1 on the year. Absolutely not good. 40.5%. We just, we're trying to stay accountable here. Last year, again, we were 87, 74, and 2. We were 54%, 54.5%. So over that 52.5, what you need to cash in this business. Week 1, we went just going over the records each week. Actually, it was week 2. Week 1 again, I was drafting. Week 2, 3-5-1. Week 3, we went 5-3. So we were 8-8-1 after week 3. Week 4, wasn't great. 2-6. So then we were 10-14-1, and then last week 5-8. So we are now 15, 22-1, 40.5%. So, hey, if you want to fade my picks, you could do that. But we certainly plan on getting this ship righted, getting it in the right direction, and getting over that 50 percentile. Hopefully this week, as we have 13 picks. So let's have a big week. Let's have a big week here, guys. Again, last year, 54.5%. So we're trying to get a little bit higher than that as we pushed all the way into the Super Bowl last year. So that's what we'll do this week as well. This year as well. But everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. Please like, subscribe, share. If you are listening on, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, whatever you're listening to, just make sure you like, subscribe, share it. Head over to fffaceoff.com. You guys can follow me at Fantasy Savvy. Face Off Sports Network YouTube channel. We got something for you guys every single day, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. But let's get into this Thursday night game. We'll come back Thursday night game, and then we'll get into these picks, NFL picks for the week. We'll go over, some fantasy stuff as well. Usually we do this show live, but this week we're recording, so this will be released Friday morning, Friday afternoon. But let's get into it. Let's go. Welcome to the Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo, presented by the Face Off Sports Network, discussing high-stakes fantasy football, waiver, fab, free agent pickups, NFL picks, and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, we are back. Fantasy Savvy, NFL picks, Week 6. First, we're recapping this game that we just saw between the Seattle Seahawks and 49ers. I had hopes for Seattle here. I had a little bit more hopes for Geno. Throws the ball 52 times here, 30 of 52, gets the 312 yards, 2 picks, 1 early pick. That second pick looked like DK could have kind of came back to the ball a little bit there, helped Geno out. He kind of went wide. He allowed the corner to undercut the ball. Geno was visibly frustrated, smashing the iPad against his head. But he finishes with 312 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. So not a terrible fantasy day. He was getting, constantly had to pass because the Niners just kept scoring. Kenneth Walker, just 14 carries, 32 yards. So more carries than last week, just 5, but goes nowhere. The Niners just had him wrapped up pretty much all day, but does get into the end zone. He also catches 8 balls for 37 yards. So Kenneth Walker getting those PPR points, which is absolutely huge, keeps him for a 20-point fantasy day. Tyler Lockett, the leading receiver on the night, 4 for 65. He gets the touchdown on 8 targets. Noah Fant, 6 for 63. Good game for him. With all these tight ends doing nothing this year, Noah Fant is just so hard to predict. So you never know when he's going to do good. That's always a rough one. So that's why he's on a lot of waiver wires. He'll just disappear for 3-4 weeks, and we'll have a game like this. 5 for 53 for JSN. Jackson Smith-Njigba on 9 targets. Not great. I would have liked to see the go to him a little bit more. DK Metcalf, 3 for 48. He started the game hot, 30-yard freaking catch, 11 targets. There was a drop. There was a couple nice plays by the corners. There was a huge touchdown called back because Kenneth Walker was not set. I don't know what he was doing. He kept like bobbing up and down as he went in motion. Then he kept like moving. He had to just stay put. So that was called back. That was a huge play. That would have been a much more would have been a huge day for DK Metcalf if he would have caught that. He's a little bit frustrating. Like it was 6'4", 230 with his speed, his size. You just kind of expect a little bit more. Still a good year so far for DK overall. He's got 31 catches, 469 yards, which is 4th in the league, but just 2 touchdowns, tied for 10th in the league with 31 catches, an average of 15.1 per catch. But, we want a little bit more out of DK. We want some more touchdowns. I mean, we're in week 6 and we only got 2 so far. Again, he's had some, a couple call back this year because of penalties. Seattle was heavily penalized in this game. A bunch of dumb penalties. So, they lose here. They lose here 36-24 to the Niners. I'm just trying to pull up their penalties. They had 9 penalties for 69 yards in this game. 7 of 16 on 3rd down. That was solid. 2 of 3 on 4th down. So their efficiency there was great. It was just kind of the penalties. The Niners were getting a lot of big plays. We saw the Debo play. We saw the Garendo play. But let's lastly, Zach Charbonnet, 5 carries for 20 yards, 1 catch for 15 yards. So, Kenneth Walker, when he's out there, he's really going to kill Charbonnet's value. Obviously, he's not really a flex play. And I'm just rewatching the game here, and Geno starts the first drive there with that overthrow to Lockett and the pick. Pretty shitty throw there. Brock Purdy, 18 of 28, 255, 3 touchdowns. I had a choice to start either Purdy or Daniels in one league. But with Daniels, Purdy has a very, very nice fantasy day. I'd rather have that at this point. Hopefully Daniels could keep up in a high total against Baltimore this week. But Jordan Mason was starting off hot, 9 for 73. He ends up getting smacked with a shoulder injury. He comes back early in the first drive of the second half. He gets that 1 carry, and then he goes back in the tent, and then we don't see him again. So it was Garendo. It was Patrick Taylor Jr. Patrick Taylor, 5 carries for 16, 1 catch for 12. He was playing a lot. Garendo really wasn't doing anything. He didn't catch any passes. He broke that huge run at the end for 76 yards, perfect hole, and he's got the speed to get to the sideline and separate from the defense. He could have scored if he wanted to. Probably he just got tripped up, but it seemed like, he was just kind of wasting that clock too. Maybe he could have got in there. But now with Mason's shoulder, we don't know. Is he going to be out a week? Is he going to be out 2 weeks? CMC is supposed to be coming back in November at some time. But, if you had CMC and you picked up Jordan Mason, you should have tried to make room for Garendo. I know it's tough when the guy's kind of doing nothing every single week, but he was the next in line. But it seems like him and Taylor probably will split a little bit, but he's the big play guy. You saw what he could do. If you give him a hole, he's going to break those big runs. So he's definitely going to be out there in a lot of leagues. You got to go after him at this point. If Mason's going to miss a week or two. And if you are a Mason owner or a CMC owner, you keep CMC on the IR, and you can put Mason on the IR, hopefully. And then you pick up Garendo, and then you just have that backfield because you want to have that backfield. Patrick Taylor, I would just let somebody else kind of take him. He's just going to kind of be in the way a little bit. He'll get some productivity, but you want Isaac Garendo here. Debo Samuel gets 4 carries for 15 yards. He leads the team, 3 catches, 102 yards. We saw that 76-yard catch. He was pretty much wide open. It was just terrible defense. Then he just does what Debo does, runs past the defense with his speed, gets into the end zone. So big day for Debo, just 5 targets. George Kittle, 5 for 58, gets into the end zone twice. George Kittle is the first touchdown was a great throw by Purdy in the right corner of the end zone. Kittle keeps his 2 feet in perfect. For me, he's the best tight end in football. Maybe not the best fantasy tight end because of all the other weapons. Makes him more inconsistent. Plus, he has to block a lot as well. But pound for pound with his blocking, his receiving, I think he's the best tight end in football. Brandon Ayuk, slow day, just 4 targets, 2 catches for 37 yards. He's going to have games like this. Jennings actually had more targets than him today, 3 for 27. So, I don't know if Ayuk's going to hit that 1,500, mark. Obviously, he sat out the month. That hurt his start. Had a good game last week, but we're going to see a lot more inconsistent games. And we've seen this from him in the past too, where he's had inconsistent games. But then he just has these monster games. So he's going to do that. You still got to put him in your lineup because he could have those huge games. And this was certainly a matchup where it was fine to use him too. But Debo ends up having that big game today. So the Niners get it done. They're now 3-3. The Seahawks are also 3-3. There was some talk this week. It's a little weird in San Francisco. Things are getting weird inside the room there. And, but they look fine today. They look good. Purdy's still playing good football. Fred Warner's still a maniac. Their corners, Lenore, I kind of like. He makes some plays. We'll see if they get CMC back. In November, that would be huge. There was a couple, there was one catch from Mason that he caught, kind of like, took forever to turn around. Like CMC probably would have took that another 25 yards. Who knows, maybe even more. So they need him in the passing game. Just opens up their offense even more, makes their offense even more formidable. Gino, he missed Kenneth Walker on like a wide open play for a touchdown. I thought he missed DK. When he was open, he went to the back of the end zone. DK was in the front of the end zone. It looked like DK was open there. I was watching that Amazon Prime Vision. I don't know if you guys watched that, but I kind of like that. It's like the all 22 because you don't really get to watch that on Sunday. So it's kind of cool. You're a little too far away. Like sometimes, like if there's a close catch or something, or like a break up in a pass, like or a bad pass, sometimes you can't tell if it was a bad pass or if it was a drop. But overall, the all 22 is cool because you can kind of see how the routes are developed, what formations they're in, all that stuff. If you really pay attention to it, you kind of got to watch it different. Like you can't just watch the quarterback. You kind of you watch like the certain receivers run the routes. You watch how their formations set up. You watch how the routes develop and everything like that. But Niners look good today. Seahawks, Gino's got to play a little bit better. DK's got to get his head out of his ass a little bit. But let's keep it moving here, guys. We'll try to keep this show under an hour, even though we got a lot of picks today. Again, make sure you subscribe to the show, fffaceoff.com for all your fantasy needs, rankings, stardoms, situms, a bunch more. Jordan Mason, man, that early run was great by him. Looked like Marion Barber out there, almost like Marshawn Lynch with that number 24. But that injury sucked. He was on his way to a big day. Seattle, that's one other thing I want to point out before we get into the pick. Seattle run D is not good. I mean, they're just getting thrashed on the ground right now. They got thrashed last week against the Giants. Tyrone Tracy ran for like $130 on them. And if you remember Mike McDonald's Ravens defense, their run defense fell apart down the stretch as well. This might be something Mike McDonald's got a little weakness here with his run defense. They got to fix it because they're getting run all over on. Even when Mason was out, some of those holes are real nice. That one hole that Garendo ran through was just beautiful. And then Kyle Juszczyk ran that touchdown at the end of the game, basically untouched, jumping up to touches, hang out with his girlfriend. That must be a great feeling. But anyway, let's keep it moving. Again, our record is suboptimal at this point. You guys can fade these picks. I'm actually doing really good on the overs. I'm tracking my picks on Tally Site. And I don't get all these picks into Tally Site. Tally Site is just a pick tracker where, you can pick with the certain books and they keep, so it's everything is, it's legitimate. You can't change it after the fact. It's totally legit. And I'm actually 13, 5, and 2 on my over unders there. Mostly just taking over some unders, but mostly over. So my totals have been better than my sides. My sides got to get better. So if you want to just take the totals here, I don't mind that. Do what you want to do. Fade me, come with me, but we fully expect to get back on track, get it rolling, and we believe we're going to do it this week. So let's get into it. Week 6 picks. The first pick, and you're probably going to say, Steve, what the hell are you talking about, bro? You got this losing record right now, and now you want to pick this freaking trash ass team. Yeah, I'm going to take the Browns plus 9.5 against Philly this week. 9.5 on BetMGM, FanDuel, DraftKings as well. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I think it's just too many points. Now, I know Philly's going to get A.J. Brown back this week. Devonta looks like he's coming back from his concussion. The Browns are still a little bit banged up. Myles Garrett's a little bit banged up, but he's expected to play. Denzel Ward got a little bit banged up. We'll see if he makes it out there. The offensive line has been all banged up. But, Njoku should make his way back. I think, he's a little bit questionable with that ankle injury. Didn't have the greatest game last week, but maybe he's a little bit healthier this week. You got Njoku, you got Cooper, you got Jerry Jeudy. Jerome Ford's not a bad back. This still Jim Schwartz defense. I just think that it's just too many points. Like, I think Philly maybe wins this game by 7, maybe 8. You're going to give me 9.5. I know Watson's been a train wreck. I know they've dropped, they're 1-4. They've lost 3 in a row to the Giants, Raiders. They got beat up by Washington last week. Philly's coming off the bye. They just lost to Tampa. So they're going to be focused. Like, this could be a blowout, but I think I'm just going to take the points. I'm going to take the 9.5. The Browns got to win this game. Deshaun's playing for his job. The fans are calling for Jameis Winston. I don't think Jameis Winston's a better option, really. Like, if anything, it's a lateral move. It's basically the same thing. But, I just remember watching last year when I bet against the Browns in Survivor. And Jameis Winston came in and he skied like 3 or 4 balls. Like, he basically lost in that game. Watson was playing a little bit better than him. I don't know. Jameis, I just think is shot. But maybe he comes in, gets into a little bit of a groove, helps him for a couple weeks, changes the team morale a little bit. I don't think so. I think they're kind of screwed either way. But let's go Cleveland here. I know it's not sexy. I know it may, blow up my face. But I think it's too many points here for, a team that still has a lot of talent. It's still a well-coached team by Kevin O'Connell. Stefanski. So, yeah, let's go with the 9.5. Maybe it moves up to 10 by game time. People are just going to say the Browns are a shit show. Philly's going to come out and smack them. But let's not remember, Philly's not really playing that great of football either. So, Jalen Hurts has been throwing picks left and right. This is still a pretty decent Browns defense. So that will be the first pick there. Browns plus 9.5 against Philly. Pick 2, we are going to go to New Orleans.
Professional football in America is a special game, a unique game.
And Tampa left early because of Hurricane Milton. By the way, prayers to all, people in the path of Hurricane Milton coming on the West Coast. You had Helene. By the way, you guys could go to redcross.com/NFL and donate. I would suggest you do that. Whatever money just helps supply people for Hurricane Helene. I think you could designate it what you want it for. But Tampa left early because of this hurricane. And we saw the freaking roof get ripped off at Tampa. Remember when with Hurricane Katrina, the roof got ripped off at the New Orleans, dome there. Not as much as this. Like, their whole freaking roof is gone now. I don't think the whole roof at the Superdome was gone. Maybe it was. Maybe I think it was just part of it. But they had first responders in there. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. It was basically coming in as that area as a Cat 3, maybe Cat 4 landfall. That roof feels very shoddy. You got to have like a freaking concrete roof or something. Like, I don't know. I don't think that was a good idea. I saw somebody else come. This is not a good idea. It definitely wasn't a good idea. And they had to move everybody out. The good part was they didn't really get hit with the storm surge this time. So Tampa wasn't as bad, but there was a ton of tornadoes. I'm on the east coast of Florida that basically the storm exited right through us. I was facing like Hurricane 1 winds, but we didn't lose power. It flickered a couple times. We really didn't have too much damage. There was, a couple tree branches down, wasn't anything. So we were pretty much spared. A lot of the rain was north of us, but even north of us got a ton of rain, a lot of flooding like Daytona, Fort Pierce, where the Mets have spring training. They had huge tornadoes. It was crazy. Like there was tornadoes. It was a little scary. I mean, it was like the first real like category 1 facing direct winds like that. The winds were freaking crazy. I could only imagine what like being in like a 3 or a 4 would be. That's got to be absolutely insane. I would just get the hell out if I was ever facing that. We stayed for this one, boarded up. But anyway, donate redcross.com. NFL. The Bucks left early because of that. They are playing the Saints this week. So obviously the Bucks, they want to get a W for their city after everything it's been through with the storm surge. Last week, then facing Milton this week, a lot of wind damage. So they go to New Orleans and they're going to face Spencer Rattler, former Oklahoma Sooners quarterback, former South Carolina Gamecocks quarterback. And, I don't get to watch a lot of college football. Obviously, I'm aware of Spencer Rattler is. Again, I watch so much NFL. It's tough to watch on Saturdays. Watch all day Saturday, watch all days. I mean, you got to do something with the family on Saturday, right? So I was watching earlier though. I wanted to do my due diligence on him. I went back, I watched his game against Georgia from last year. And to me, it seems like he's pretty solid. Like he's got a pretty good arm. He could run a little bit. He's smart. He'll take the check downs. I think that he will probably force some balls here and there, which will probably lead to some interceptions. But for Chris Olave purposes, for Rashid Shaheed purposes, I still think these guys will still remain somewhat viable, especially if Shaheed's out. Like I'm still dialing up Chris Olave. But the main point here is the total is 41.5. And I think that Spencer Rattler, the rattlesnake here, can keep this one over because of I just think he'll be able to pass the ball a little bit. Actually 42.5. Sorry, that's what I'm seeing. So it looks like the total has jumped a little bit, but we're still going to take it. I guess maybe the market is a little bit high on Rattler here. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong game. My bad. It is 41.5. It is 40. The market is high on Spencer Rattler. Oh shit. Maybe not, maybe so, but we are a little bit higher on the market than our market on Rattler, maybe. Just as far as, being able to put up some points, we expect Baker to put up some points here against the Saints. The past few matchups last year, December 23-13. So a bunch of low scoring matchups. New Orleans 26-9, 17-16 in 2022, and 30. Man, all these have been the last two high scoring games were when Brady was around 30-20 and 36-27 back in 2021. Ever since then, all these games have gone under basically like 40 points, some going under 30. But I think the Bucks will be able to move the ball. Their defense has just been, shredded. They were shredded. Not shredded. They weren't really shredded by Bo Nix, but they did put up 26 points, the Broncos offense. That's not a great offense. Then Atlanta just did whatever the hell they wanted against them, putting up 36. Yeah, they faced Philly only up 16, but again, he had no Devonta, no A.J. Brown. So I don't know. Their defense, when it's down, it just looks kind of terrible. Their defense may bounce back here against this rookie here, but I think he could put up 14, 17 points. And I think Tampa could put up 27, something like that. Even if we get like a 24-20 game, I could certainly see that as well. So let's go with the over here. Tampa, New Orleans, 41.5 for pick 2. Pick 3, I'm contemplating this one. Should I take the Packers -5 against Arizona? I just feel like the Packers still haven't played their best game yet. Um, let's see here. They really haven't. Love's kind of been a little up and down. Even against the Rams last week, it wasn't that great, 24-19. They almost came back against Minnesota, but that was his first game back. Arizona has just been weird this year, blowing out the Rams, then losing to Detroit, not looking good, then looking terrible against Washington, losing 42-14, and then, beating the Niners in San Francisco 24-23. So they've been kind of up and down. And 2 weeks ago, McBride was out against Washington. He returned last week. Harrison still hasn't been doing a ton. You still got Jimmy Connors there, James Conner. You got Michael Wilson, the Dortchman. Maybe Gannon is figuring a couple things out here on defense, possibly, slowing down the Lions. The Washington tore them alive, though. And then a decent job against the Niners last week. But Green Bay, I don't know if they played their best game. So do I want to go with Green Bay -5? I'm kind of pushing it here. I could see Kyler having a decent day here. Their most recent matchup was 24-21 in Arizona. So no real history here between these two teams that are similar. So I don't know. I think this might just be a lean for me. I kind of want to take Green Bay here because I feel like they're going to put it all together. They do have the controversy with Dobbs last week, but he is back this week. Christian Watson also may play this week. Tucker Kraft's looking great. You still got Wicks, Jaden Reed. I think their defense has been pretty decent all year, letting up some points. 31 to the Vikings, 34 to Philly. But I kind of want to take Green Bay. There's just something like I could see the James Connors having a big day, McBride having a big day. So this is just going to be a lean. I kind of wanted to take this one, but I'm not totally feeling it. If anything, maybe what I would do here is a Packers and over teaser. So we'll skip that. I was kind of contemplating. I wanted to put it up there just in case, but we'll skip it. All right, next game. We do have 2 picks. In this one, we are going to go to Tennessee, Indy versus Tennessee. And oh, sorry about that, guys. I don't know why that's still playing. What the hell was that? Indy versus Tennessee. Joe Flacco getting it done. I think he's going to end up starting this game once again. Another week out for Anthony Richardson. So Flacco's been, really good. We've seen this from the past. He's put up 34 points against Jacksonville, putting up 27 against Pittsburgh. And even against the last 2 games. So, we saw him last year with the Browns, put up some points as well. And, Tennessee's defense, everybody's kind of giving them credit, but who have they played? They played Miami with Tyler Huntley. They played Green Bay, and they let up 30 points. And that was Malik Willis. Okay. They let up 24 against the Jets. The Jets offense is good. They let up basically they shut down Caleb Williams. That was his first game as a pro. So I think their defense is okay. I think they're getting a little too much credit here. I know that Flacco is going to be missing Pittman. Josh Downs a little bit banged up, but you still got Alec Pierce. You still got Adonai Mitchell who could step in. Ashton Doolin. I think they could make some plays here. And I don't totally trust Mason Rudolph either. So I'm going to, give me 3 points with Flacco. And I'm also going to take the over 43 because the Colts defense, 37 against Trevor Lawrence, 24 against Pittsburgh. Their defense is not really doing much. I think Tennessee will be able to do a little bit with Pollard, Hopkins, Ridley here. Rudolph is somewhat capable at quarterback. So 43 total. Flacco slinging a little bit. Tennessee slinging a little bit. I'll take the over there. And I'll take the Colts. Give me the 3 points. And Joe Flacco, the veteran quarterback, who just knows how to keep games close, even when they're down. Like, he just keeps firing away. So let's go with that. as pick 3 and pick 4. Pick 5.
To the players, reality is 1 against 1, move and counter move, helmet to helmet.
We're going to go with the rook here in New England. And Drake May is going to get his first start. So we got 2 rookies this week. We got Spencer Rattler. We got Drake May. Drake May is finally getting his start after, Jacoby Brissett loses to the lowly-ass Dolphins, who haven't won a game all week. 10 points, 13 against San Francisco, 3 against the Jets. It's just been absolutely ugly the past few games. This is exactly what I expected. I said the Patriots are going to be 1-4, 2-6, or 2-5, or whatever it is, 0-5, and they're going to have to go to May. I mean, at some point, they're just going to keep losing. The fans are going to get tired of watching this crap, and that's what they're doing here. So I think their offense is getting a little bit uptick. So for fantasy purposes, kind of like DeMario Douglas a little bit. I know people like Jalen Polk; he should get a little uptick as well. But I kind of like DeMario as the best receiver there. Hunter Henry should have some more fantasy value now. Helps for Ramondre. I know Ramondre is a little bit banged up this week, but Patriots D could play a little bit. He got Drake May. I know it's his first game against a pretty decent Houston defense. We saw them rough up Josh Allen last week, so slow down their offense. But, going to New England, you're going to give me 7 points. I mean, Houston's playing a lot of close games. Close against Jacksonville, close against Buffalo, a 4-point game, 3-point game. Got beat up by Minnesota. 6 points against Chicago. Their offense didn't do much there. And then also 2-point game against Anthony Richardson and the Colts. So let's go New England. Let's go Drake May there for pick 5. I think that their offense will get better. I think their defense will make some plays. I think their crowd will be more excited. I think the team will be more excited with Drake May. He just has to come out and play a pretty good game. That's the biggest question. But I think he'll do enough to kind of keep it close here. Maybe we get a backdoor cover. I don't expect them to win or anything, but you're going to give me the 7 points with the Pats D, with the Drake May influx. No Nico Collins as well is big. We'll see if Joe Mixon gets back. That could give a little bump to the offense for sure. But again, the Patriots, one thing they could do, they could play a little bit of defense still, even without Billy Belichick, Jared Mayo, former linebacker there. With them. So he gets it. He does a pretty good job. So that will be pick 5. Pick 6. We are going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers -3. And they are going to be taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, headed to Las Vegas. Steelers have dropped 2 straight, losing to Indy 27-24. Fields almost led that comeback. You had that bad snap by the center. He snapped it too early. Fields wasn't ready for it. That goes as a fumble for Fields. So everybody's like, Fields keeps fumbling the ball. That was ruled a fumble. Then last week against Dallas, Najee Smith ran over their center, the same guy that can't freaking make a right snap. It's been happening since the preseason, their rookie center. He ran over the center, and Fields had no chance, and he fumbled the ball. I mean, what the fuck? Most quarterbacks would have fumbled that shit. He basically had no chance there. On Fields didn't play bad. He led the winning drive down the field. They had that pass to Freiermuth, and then Dak goes down the field, gets that 4th down touchdown, last play of the game basically, and gets the touchdown to Tolbert, and they win the game. And that was it. So, I mean, Fields did what he was asked of. First halves, they're just so conservative. Pittsburgh is so conservative with their run game. So what Tomlin wants to do is he wants to be able to run the football, play defense, run the football, kick field goals, get into good field position, rely on his defense, pass a little bit here or there. But the problem is they're so conservative in the first half, and it doesn't really work because they can't run the ball. There's no real blocking for Najee. He's running into brick walls. And then they got this 13-12 personnel with, George Pickens is playing 55% of the snaps. I guess, maybe he did something stupid. He is a head case again, or maybe they're just trying to teach him a lesson. but there's no other receivers there. You got Van Jefferson, you got freaking Calvin Austin. They still haven't elevated Roman Wilson. Fryermuth's playing better. Jalen Warren's still hurt. That hurts their offense as well because he's a playmaker for them. He gives them more spark in their offense for sure. When Najee's kind of not getting it going, you throw a screen to Jalen, he breaks a big run, and then then Najee comes in. He could be a little bit better too. So they need Jalen Warren back. Cordell Patterson's hurt too. They got to try to open this offense up a little bit more. Hopefully maybe they use Roman Wilson, but just target George Pickens more. Get him out there all the time and throw him the freaking ball. I don't give a shit how much of a head case is. You now drop 2 straight. You got to freaking win here. So I think they'll do that. I think they'll take care of business. Aiden O'Connell, I don't think he's an upgrade again of Gardner Minshew. If anything, it's like a lateral move. Maybe he's got some more potential. Obviously, we've seen what Minshew could do. He's hit his ceiling as far as what we've seen he could do. But O'Connell's like a statue back there. He can't really move. He misses a lot of throws. He gets on a roll sometimes. He throws some accurate passes, but and he could have a good game here. I just think I'm going to go with Pittsburgh here. 2 in a row. They're not going to drop 3 in a row. I think they'll get the job. Fields knows that, that Russell Wilson is fully healthy now. Tomlin's saying the door's ajar for Russell Wilson to come in. Tomlin's like, all right, Justin, you got to step it up a little bit here. We need the win this week. He's just trying to challenge Fields a little bit. I think he knows Fields is their best quarterback. He isn't the best chance. Russ is some of the pressure that Fields has faced. Russ would just collapse under it. It'd be more of a disaster. And the way their offense is designed right now, it's a hot mess. They have one freaking receiver that they don't even use a lot. So let's go Pittsburgh here, -3 over the Raiders. Raiders lose to Denver last week, 34-18. They beat Cleveland 26, and they did beat Baltimore in Baltimore. That was a great win. But they lost to Carolina 36-22. So 2 in a row here for Pittsburgh. I think they bounce back. TJ Watt might eat Aiden O'Connell alive this week. And Joey Porter Jr., Minkah Fitzpatrick. Big bounce back for the Steelers. Big bounce back for, Tomlin this week. Hopefully Artie Smith, freaking is not so damn conservative the whole damn, first half again. Realizes he needs to throw a little bit more early on. So Pittsburgh will be, what is that, pick 6, pick 5? I don't know. I've lost count at this point. We'll add it up at the end. Next game. Let's go to Denver. And you guys may disagree with this one too, because this team has been playing some pretty good freaking football. On the defensive side of the ball. And even Bo Nix has been playing better of late. He's been playing pretty solid. Solid game last week. It wasn't the toughest matchup for Knicks last week as they took on the Raiders. But he's playing pretty good. Overall, I would say, the first couple games were rough. Then he bounced back against Tampa. Shitty game against the Jets. He had negative yards in the first half, but a decent game last week for Knicks. But he gets the Chargers now off the bye. I think that they'll have Alton Slater back. We'll see. Joey Bosa as well has been out. Herbert has the high ankle. He should be a little bit healthier. But -2.5. Chargers are in Denver. They're 2-2. Denver's 3-2. Denver's defense is showing out big time. And I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. So the first pick is going to be the under 35. And then we're going to go with the Chargers coming off the bye, a little bit healthier. Herbert, Jim Harbaugh. I think they get it done over here. They kind of humble Peyton a little bit. They take care of Nick because their defense is good too. I mean, the Chargers defense, they held the Chiefs to 17 points without Bosa. They almost beat the Chiefs in that game. You got McConkey, you got Quentin Johnson. Josh Palmer will be back this week as well. Their defense is pretty solid. So I think they'll do a pretty good job on this Broncos offense. Again, low-scoring game. So under the 35, and then we're going to go with the Chargers -2.5. All right, couple more picks here. Let's go to Atlanta, and who will be welcoming, well, actually, I'm sorry, Carolina, who will be welcoming the Atlanta Falcons at Bank of America Stadium. And I just wanted to look at the forecast for this week as well, see if there's any weather in the mix. The only real weather I see here are it will rain Saturday afternoon in New England. But the timing of that rain isn't set in stone for now. Scattered showers in Arizona. Green Bay, sorry, and scattered showers in New York. So nothing crazy as far as the weather front. But Carolina, Atlanta, Carolina's defense is just decimated by injury. They look terrible. 36 points to the Bears, 34 points to the Bengals, 26 to the Chargers, 47 to the Saints, 22 to the Raiders. Not terrible, but their defense, just watching them last week against Chicago, it was just absolutely horrendous. Just so bad. And now you're going to bring in Atlanta, who just comes off 36 points against Tampa. Drake London's getting it going. Darnell Mooney, a little bit banged up, should be fine. Bijan, a little bit banged up, should be fine. Still got Algier. Pitts even got in the mix last week. Pitts woke up. Maybe hopefully it wasn't just that Monday night thing or Thursday night, whatever. What was that game? Monday or Thursday night? I forget. But he woke up in that primetime game. I think that was last Thursday, right? That game? Yeah. It was. He woke up even. Before that, they scored 26 against the Saints. So ever since week one, where Kirk Cousins kind of looked kind of shitty against the Steelers, he's kind of bounced back a little bit better the past couple games. And obviously, 500 yards throwing against Tampa. Now he gets the Panthers. So I think it's going to be another huge week for Kirk Cousins. Big time. Get him in your lineups. Get Captain Kirk in there. I have a lineup, team, a 16 team league with Kirk and Daniels. I think I'm going to throw Kirk over Daniels this week. I'm thinking about it. I just think Kirk is going to smash. And then Dolan, I think, will get back on track. It was a terrible matchup last week against Chicago. Atlanta, their defense isn't bad, but I think Deontay Johnson will get it going. I think Chuba, Leggett will have a better game. And I think that the Atlanta may put up like 31 points, maybe 34 points. Chicago put up 36. The Bengals put up 34. The Saints put up 47. And then, everybody's talking about how good Derek Carr look and the Saints off. No shit. They played Carolina, fucking worst defense in the world in the league, maybe. So Atlanta could put up 40 here. So I'm going to go over 47. The only reason I'm not going to take Atlanta minus the 6 is maybe, Carolina and Dalton kind of backdoors this at home somehow, some way. I don't mind leaning Atlanta. If you wanted to tease it, I don't mind that either. But I'm going to just go over here, 47 between Atlanta and Carolina. All right, Sunday Night Football. Dallas versus not Sunday Night Football. Sorry. Well, the next game is Sunday Night Football. 4:25, Dallas, Detroit in Jerry World. Dallas is getting 3 points. I didn't want to take this one. This is kind of like the Packers game. And maybe I should just throw the Packers game in because I'm going to take this one. So you know what? We'll add the Packers -5. We'll add that as a pick. And so that's official. And we're going to take Dallas +3 against the Lions. I just, I feel like, it's just, this is a game that Dallas kind of, and they own Detroit in the last 10, 8-2. They've won the last 6 matchups in a row going back to 2015. The most recent matchup was 2023. They won 2019. But, Dallas with Tolbert last week, Ferguson, CD, Dowdle's starting to get it going a little bit. Their defense is playing a little bit better, especially their run defense. I know this is probably a good matchup for the Lions to run the ball here. But I think Zimmer is going to be ready for that. I think they'll do this may be a freaking high scoring game. I mean, the total is 52.5, but I see like Dak going back and forth here. You're going to give me the 3, maybe they could get the Goff a little bit here, get some pressure. I know they're still missing, their 2 big guys, Lawrence and Parsons, which is huge. But But I mean, Detroit hasn't played that great. Last week was good against Seattle at home. Arizona, they won 2013. They lost to Tampa 2016. And they barely beat the Rams 26-20. And then they opened up the season. I'm sorry, they didn't open up the season. That was freaking last year's playoffs. I'm looking at the records. They opened up the season beating the Rams 26-20, losing to Tampa. They've been okay. Last week, they looked great. Everybody was getting it going. That certainly could be the case this week. I don't feel great about this game. It's not one of my favorite picks. I'm kind of just going with Dallas at home, Dak, and just comparing it all against the Lions. This might be a bad matchup for Dallas. Dallas maybe gets smacked in the mouth here, which would say a lot about both teams. But I think Dallas gets it done. I do think this is a home game. They've been away for 2 weeks now. They lost to Baltimore 28-25, their last home game. They're 0-2 at home, 44-19 against New Orleans, 28-25 against Baltimore. They almost came back in that game. They got to get a win at home. They know it. They're going to be ultra focused. They're 3-2. The Commanders are, looks like they may steal that division. So let's go Dallas +3. And just because of that, we're going to throw in Detroit -5. Hopefully both these picks don't freaking lose. All right, now we're into Sunday Night Football.
It's the enemy over there. They're not your friends. You don't go over there and shake hands, smile.
Sunday Night Football. We got the Bengals versus the Giants. The Bengals will be going to the Meadowlands. The Bengals are 1-4. Unbelievable. Losing 41-38 to Baltimore last week in a heartbreaking game. McPherson missing that field goal was huge. And then they lost in overtime. Carolina, this is the only team they beat. They lost to Washington in a shootout. They barely lost to Kansas City 26-25, and they opened up the season losing to the Patriots. I mean, I don't know how the hell that happened. But they were crusty. Chase was just coming back. Higgins was out. Their defense has not been good. Lou Anarumo cannot figure anything out. 38 to Washington, 24 to Carolina, even 41 to Baltimore. And the Giants, Daniel Jones is playing better. He's been playing better. Wando Robinson has been good, even without Neighbors last week. We saw Slayton, who's been on the team for a long time, making plays. Tyrone Tracy looked good in the absence of Devin Singletary. Their defense is playing well. We'll see if Thibodeau gets out there this week. But everybody was clowning on their corner against Metcalf last week. His name is eclipsing me. Dante Banks. But, Deonte Banks, he did a good job against DK. He's actually a pretty decent corner. So their defense isn't bad. But I just think and I said it last week, the Bengals were are the Bengals going to go 1-5? I mean, I just don't see it. Maybe the Giants cover. And if you can get this down to 3, I don't see a 3 anywhere. You got to buy the hook. But for official purposes, I don't see a 3 at $5 that I'm looking at here. DraftKings, FanDuel, Bet365, FanDuel, BetMGM. Let's go with 3.5 as the official spread. Bengals, Lou Anarumo, figures something out, picks off Danny Dimes, maybe once, maybe causes a fumble. And then, I like the Giants defense, but you got Chase, you got Higgins, you got Yoshivas, Gesicki. The rookie Eric Wall Jr. is not bad. Chase Brown's getting it going. You got Joey Burrow in a absolute must-win game for the Bengals. So I got to take them here on Sunday Night Football. Back-to-back games in the Meadowlands as the Jets will also be playing Monday night in East Rutherford. Buffalo's -2.5. That's going to be an interesting game. That's actually my birthday. So October 14th, my Jets are playing Buffalo. And it's no secret that Josh Allen, I wanted him to come to the Jets. They took Sam Darnold. So, I mean, Allen is a guy I've always rooted for because so many people bashed the hell out of him, dismissed him, and he's just been elevating. It was ugly last week, though. And last 2 weeks has been ugly. He's been getting smashed. His head's cracking the ground. He's calling back. He looked pale as hell last week. I've never really seen him look like that. I know he likes to throw up before the game. Hopefully he stopped doing that. You get to a certain age, you can't be throwing up before every game. It just, you're going to lose energy. You're going to lose electrolytes. Like, you got to, do the right things. Hopefully somebody's smart's getting into his head. Maybe he drinks electrolytes after he throws up. I don't know. But it's going to be an interesting game because the Jets just fired their coach, got rid of Robert Saleh. You know, I don't know what and as a Jets fan, I'll give you my take real quick on this. Hackett finally got demoted. I thought he should have got fired, but he wasn't going to go anywhere because it's kind of Rodgers' boy. So Rodgers probably saved him. They go to Todd Downing, who this guy caught a DUI. They hire him. I don't know. I like Saleh. I think his defenses was fine. They performed. I thought he was very respectful, very kind. Maybe he wasn't the best head coach. Maybe he wasn't getting on these guys as much as he should. Is Ulbrich going to change that? I think Woody Johnson I don't know. I don't trust Woody Johnson. I think he's the real problem. I don't think getting rid of Saleh is going to solve this team's problems either. They're going to have to do some things offensively. Now, Breece Hall may have a big game here. But I don't know if getting rid of Saleh is the answer. I don't know if I don't know if demoting Hackett is even going to be the answer, but it certainly helps. Todd Downing hopefully brings some fresh ideas, but Aaron Rodgers ultimately is going to, be in charge of this offense. He's the guy who brought in Cobb, Lazard. This was like the Packers, U-Haul truck just came over to New Jersey. So this is either going to be the right experiment with Rodgers and this whole Packers brigade. I mean, even though it's just really, it was Hackett and Lazard, or it's going to be a complete failure. Right now, I would say it's leaning to a complete failure, knowing the Jets. Are they going to make the playoffs? I have no freaking clue. But you still got Garrett Wilson. You still got a lot of talent on defense. DJ Reed was looking awesome against Minnesota last week. Still got Sauce. Will McDonald, Mosley. So this is going to be a really interesting game. The Jets kind of do beat Buffalo at least once every year. It seems like, looking at the records here. The last 2 years, the Jets have beat Buffalo at least once. And the last time they played, Buffalo killed them 32-6 back in November. But remember the September 11th game last year? The Jets won that game with Zach Wilson filling in for Aaron Rodgers after Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. They get that punt return from Gibson. They win the game in overtime. So this could be an interesting game. No pick here. The total's 41. I could see it going over. I think Breece Hall will have a bounce back game because Buffalo can't stop the run. But the Jets got to start blocking. They got to get more creative. They got to do a little bit of motion. This offense is kind of ancient. Has it transitioned to the modern day offense? Has Aaron Rodgers transitioned to the modern day offense? We saw what it looked like the last time he was in Green Bay. Their offense has gotten better since he's left. Their offense looks better since he left. So I don't know. This is either a disaster or this is going to work. And I think this game will tell us a lot on Monday night. If the Jets lose this game and they completely bomb, it's going to be a total disaster in the media. It's going to be a complete shit show. People are going to be calling for Rodgers' head for the most part, especially with the way, the 3 picks. So he's got to bounce back this week. The Bills got to bounce back this week. They're coming off, 2 poor performances against Baltimore and against Houston. So that is it, guys. Let's go over the picks real quick. We got for week 6, Browns plus 9.5, Tampa Bay, New Orleans over 41 on DK with Spencer Rattler. I think he'll put up just enough points to get this game over. And maybe he throws a pick 6 too, which I hope the over too. Green Bay, we weren't going to take it, but we're going to take it -5. So that is 3 picks. Colts plus 3 on DK. That's 4. Titans, Colts over 43. That's 5. Pats plus 7. That's 6. Steelers -3. That's 7. Chargers -2.5. BetMGM. That's 8. Under 35.5. That's 9. Packers, Falcons over 47. That's 10. Dallas plus 3, 11. And then Bengals -3.5. Makes 12 picks for week 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So last week, 13 picks. Wasn't great. We got 12 more this week for you guys. So hopefully we get back in the winner's circle. I think we'll have a winning record this week. I think we'll get it going. We'll get over that 50%. Trust the process. Again, donate to redcross.com/NFL for people in Florida. Also, Carolinas that went through all that hurricane. Also parts of Tennessee, I think, got hit too and stuff. So Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton. Finally we sent Milton to the basement. Remember the office space, and then the Jets also sent Hackett to the basement with his stapler finally. So I'm happy for that. That's going to be an interesting game Monday night. I don't know if I'll be around for DFS on Saturday. I think I'm going to go away for my birthday this week. I don't know if I'll be joining the boys for start sit tomorrow either. But if not, I'll be back Monday on the recap show. I should be back by then, Monday night, for that show. And you guys will see me next week. Again, make sure you follow the show, fffaceoff.com, Faceoff Sports Network. Like, subscribe, share. Also on your Spotify and Apple. Take care, guys. We will see you soon. Enjoy week 6. And that is all we got. Let's get it. Have a great weekend, guys.